It's official. UFC 313 will be headlined by Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev, the fight that we have all been waiting for, the light heavyweight showdown that has been in the works for well over a year at this point, the fight that everyone has been waiting for. Is it the fight that everybody wants? Maybe, maybe not, but it's the fight that we all have been dying to see. The wrestler, the Dagestani Ankalaev, will be taking on the kickboxer, the most dangerous man in the UFC, Alex Pereira. So we'll see how this one plays out, but we've also got a great co-main event set up, an absolute war, an absolute banger, an absolute slugfest, an absolute slobber knocker, whatever you want to call it, barn burner. I mean, Justin Gaethje, Dan Hooker may go down on paper as one of those fights that could potentially be the greatest fight of all time. Two guys that will go in there and throw down no matter what. Two guys that will leave each other bloody in the canvas like a mess. What an absolute banger this one's going to be. I cannot expect, and I will not admit, I will not acknowledge, I will not concede that this fight will be bad in any way, shape, or possible. There will be 5 rounds for the co-main event, but let's get back to the fight that we all been talking about. Alex Pereira obviously has been on quite a run, stepped in, saved the company, made things happen on short notice that were otherwise impossible, stepped up and took on Khalil Roundtree on just a couple weeks notice, took on Yuri Prochazka on 11 or 12 days notice, stepped in and saved UFC 300 alongside Jamal Hill. Magomed Ankalaev on the wayside has been left to the side, unable and unwilling to take on fights on short notice, which I understand. But the thing is, Alex Pereira has now become one of the biggest stars in the UFC because he's knocking guys out, he's showing up to fight, and he's throwing down the gauntlet no matter when, where, or how. Magomed Ankalaev, on the other hand, has become a stagnant figure at the top of the light heavyweight division. Obviously, he previously challenged against Jan Blachowicz for the belt, but now he returns in a title fight against Alex Pereira. So, for the World Light Heavyweight Championship, what do you guys think about it? Give me your thoughts in the comments down below. Well, let's get into this because Magomed recently said this on Twitter. You just signed your death certificate to Alex Pereira. I'm going to punish you for ducking me. I'm going to make you look like a guy who worked in a tire shop, not a professional fighter. So, again, to Alex Pereira, you just signed your death certificate. I'm going to punish you for ducking me. I'm going to make you look like a guy who worked in a tire shop, not a professional fighter. Kind of a good comeback, kind of a good comment there for Magomed, considering what Alex Pereira had to say the other day at the UFC 311 post-fight scrum.
But how did it all come to be that you would finally be facing him in March in Las Vegas?
Quis isso. Tô muito empolgado por essa luta.
Well, I did say that I wanted to take a break, but I started training again. I started feeling good. I started seeing my evolution. So I called my managers right away and I say, I want to fight. I want to fight in March. I want to fight Ankalaev. I know he keeps saying that I'm just an employee of the UFC. I fight whenever they want, but I asked for him. I told him when I want to fight.
But how did it all...
So Magomed has been accusing Alex of ducking him the entire time, saying that he agreed to multiple fight dates, but Alex Pereira saved the company on multiple occasions last year. He's not just going to run in there and fight you on your timetable, considering your timetable never consisted of you, Magomed, stepping in on short notice to fight him. We knew you were available multiple times, but of course you did not step in. Either that or the UFC had no interest in you fighting him because they believe you are a boring fighter. Now that's the fan outlook on Ankalaev. Also the fans believe that he's a wrestler, but he's really not that big of a wrestler. He has about 1 takedown per every 14 minutes of fighting. So Magomed is not as much of a wrestler as many consider him to be. Just because you have that EV or the V at the end of your name and you come from Russia does not mean that you are a wrestler per se. Does he have good grappling? Yes, we've seen him. He has good grappling, but he's not as proficient of a grappler and not as active of a wrestler as many believe that he is. But let's see how that one plays out. And then, of course, Dan Hooker, Justin Gaethje, they've been going back and forth on social media. Justin Gaethje, not but a week ago, kind of alluded to the fact that he'll be fighting Hooker in March, and this is the co-main event. Does that mean that the rest of the card plays out as UFC 312 does, and it's not so great of an undercard? We don't know yet, but this is going to be a hell of a co-main event. This is one of those fights that you would easily risk paying the $80 just to see. Now, $80 is steep for a pay-per-view, but for Alex Pereira, Justin Gaethje, and Dan Hooker, I am fully willing to pay that price. So what do you guys think about these fights? In the comments, let me know below. Bangers we got coming in March. UFC 312 in February. Good title fights. Undercard. This has got 2 big-time headlining fights atop the board. So let me know what you guys think about it all in the comments down below.